Hello, it's Andy here again. Today I'm going to talk about a contentious issue of, are LED eyelashes safe? And even, are they relevant to our industry? And hopefully in the previous episodes you've kind of getting a bit of sense of why LED eyelashes really are an important tool in the modern day eyelash artist's toolkit. But what about safety? I think this is one of the key things that we hear about, from in the market. Is it safe? Can it get insured? Are you going to blind people? Well, these lights, they are tested by industry standards. There are compliance standards for lighting. So I've heard analogies like it's like a car light being shined in your eyes, which I don't tend to agree with that analogy because it's working on a completely different spectrum of light, so it doesn't make sense to me. LED ultimately contains the band of light, whether it be ultraviolet or whether it be blue light, or some people call it white light. It sits within a spectrum of light that is, I guess, to a degree known to have some harmful effect on a human body. Ultimately, blue light is why sunglasses are being invented, which is some LED products that say that they're white light. And the UV style, obviously that's where we get from sun, that's what we know, and it gives us a suntan. However, what we have to consider with these is really the exposure. These are measurable scientific equations that can be used to determine what is the exposure level. And the analogy that I use is, if you lie on a beach on a hot sunny day in Australia, and then you will get a tan or you will burn, because it's the volume and quantity of the exposure. If you lie on the beach for 10 seconds, obviously it makes a big difference to 1 hour. Equally, if you just walk around the park, it's a very different experience. So why is this? Because UV is a cumulative effect. So there's really two key measurements that you need to take into account. You need to take into the account the power of the actual UV light, as well as the time of the UV light as well. With our product, we provide an extremely low output of light. In fact, it's 0.6 watts of light. So you can think of a standard light in your house is probably about 30 watts. Ours is 0.6. So it's an absolute tiny amount of light. And also the exposure is 2 or 3 seconds per lash, and it's moved across different areas of the eye. The eyelids are obviously closed during the whole treatment, but with this we calculated that if you were to shine our product in one spot on your skin and you held that there for 1 hour, that would be the equivalent of around 7 seconds of sunlight exposure. And we're clearly not holding our product there for an hour. In fact, you're probably getting maybe 10 minutes of overall exposure throughout the treatment. So you can see it's fractions of a second of sunlight exposure that you would be getting. So, but does that prove everything? I mean, as I mentioned, there are certain safety standards in industries and testing that we have gone through to ensure that our light is safe. There are, third-party government bodies, and some data is being introduced. There's some information out there as well that's showing that this is a safe treatment. But there are obviously other systems available in the market which are far more high power. We can't necessarily speak to those. That's for you to decide. For us, we've always prioritized safety because we believe that that is one of the most important. That is the most important aspect. So with that, that's why we introduced a very low power solution.